Right then, finally onto the A6 videos. If you look back at what we've done already, we've done the big brakes, talked about all the upgrades that we've got going on, we've done the detailing, and it's a bit scruffy at the minute, but when you wash it, it cleans up really nice, which is good. So onto the fun bit now that everybody's sort of been waiting for, and that's the tuning. We've done things in a slightly different order, really just to try and bring a bit of context, because I've been trying to do accurate back-to-back testing. But what we're going to end up doing, we're going to probably rush through the dyno side of things, and then we'll do the road testing all in one go, because that seemed to be on the last projects that we had, that seemed to be the big variable, were the conditions outside. So really what I want to be able to do is a standard and a tuned run, a sort of certain stage of tuned run on the road, just to see the sort of acceleration difference in one go, because we did it like 2 or 3 days apart last time, and you could just see that we had wheel slip afterwards, which slowed things down a little bit, and then people saying, oh, my car's faster than this, that and other. So we can only say what power the car does on our dyno, and we can only say what acceleration time it does on the road at that exact time. Whether it matches what other testers do or other people's cars do, it is what it is. We're just saying what our car does. So the dyno tuning, we've pulled this on yesterday, late on, and I had to disappear and do some other stuff with a Mark 5, which has created more problems. That beep. Why? It's every vlog. How long have we been in here now? 20 minutes and it hasn't gone off. So we've run it up stock, and then we've run it up, we've done a little bit of tuning, run it up now. So let's have a look at the results are. So as you can see, this is a 313 horsepower car, and it's done 318. And then we are tuned on there, it's got 371. So 500 to 550 foot-pound of torque, and the biggest increase is at the top end. But the good thing about this as well, the air-to-fuel ratio is plus or minus, depending where you are in rev range, within one point air-to-fuel ratio, exactly the same. So it's like 25 to 1 all the way across, which is pretty good, really. It's a little bit richer at times, but pretty much the same. But we think we can probably improve this, because the main thing that we're seeing problems with is the intercooler. We're getting like 77, 78 degrees inlet air temps at the end of a run. So it's probably about 65 at end of run, but then it just keeps creeping and creeping, even after you've stopped revving it, up to like 77, 78. So anything past probably 40s or 50s, you're really giving away a bit of power. And a little bit of EGTs as well, usually, from what we've found before. But we have done a bit of testing on these before, and the intercooler, for some reason, never really made a massive difference to power, but always made a decent difference to EGTs and inlet air temps, which, if you're going to run it hard for a longer period of time, not just a few dyno pulls, that should make a difference to the actual power you're putting on the road. But like I say, like the 1.6 and stuff like that, we see sort of like 90 and 100 degree inlet air temps on them, put an intercooler on, that drops to 40, and just gain 10 or 15 horsepower straight away. So we'll see what this does. But one other thing that I forgot to mention while we were stood near the car, one upgrade that we do when we're doing a map on these is the rail pressure sensor here. So this has got a 2700 bar rail pressure sensor in, because we want to push things just that little bit harder than the standard sensor will read. Not too hard, because you're going to start damaging your injectors, and these, we've changed quite a few SQ5 and bi-turbo injectors before, so it's always a good idea not to push them too hard, especially if they're already on the way out. So literally, as far as anybody needs to know mod-wise, this is totally standard, except for the rail pressure sensor and a tune, and you get 370 horsepower. And you know, richer than standard, which the reason you don't really want to make much richer than standard is because that means that you're putting more fuel than you are air into the engine, which means you're, in theory, putting more soot into the DPF, which you're going to load it up quicker anyway. You are going to have more regens because you're running more power. It's as simple as that. There's more air and fuel going in there, volume-wise, or quantity-wise, however you want to describe it. But if you're running it really, really rich, then you're going to be constantly having regens and eventually damage the DPF. And one thing to note about this tune, during the tuning process, we've seen on this engine and this car, just earlier on, we've seen nearer to 390 horsepower. But that were fine for one dyno run, but when you did a really long pull, because that's what we always try to do, a really long pull that sort of simulate like a 4th, 5th, 6th gear pull, probably 6th gear in this gearbox, the EGTs were getting way past where the factory limiters are allowed, which is not a good idea. Not when you're keeping all the emission stuff anyway, because that's when stuff starts melting downstream. So that 370-ish, if your car does the standard power, that 370-ish, maintaining everything, should last quite a while. But I think we need to get the intercooler swapped. So we'll get into Fab Shop, because it's not a direct fit, the intercooler that we're going to put on. We've got a bit of testing to do. We'll get in there and we'll see how we get on. So we're a little bit late with this one. I wanted this to be a full video in its own, but like with the bushes, everybody's got a little bit excited and started throwing things together. So Daniel put up a little bit of something showing you the intercooler before it was fitted and the silicone pipes that we custom made the tools to fit, which these fit really, really nice now. Very happy with them. But this is what we've replaced basically. So it's quite a decent looking thing, but obviously looking at the size difference, it's probably 2.5 times the size of the cart, so it should work pretty good. So what we'll do, we'll throw that back on, we'll get it back on the dyno, and we'll see if it lowers the inlet air temps, and we'll see how much it lowers them by. Hopefully that increases the power. But if it doesn't increase the power, it means we'll keep the power for longer anyway. But we'll see what it does. We'll go from there. So, Dan's got the intercooler on. Not sure how well you can see it through the bumper now, because last time we saw it, well, there we go. You can just see it at the bottom there. Just see it poking out at the top there, so it's pretty much taking up all the front of the grille, which is good. So we've done a little bit of testing, and as expected, not as crazy as we expected it to be power-wise, which is a bit strange. We probably need to put a bit more instrumentation on this car to see like pressure drops across intercooler and stuff like that, because maybe this intercooler's got a little bit more pressure drop, but it's cooling things down a bit better. We don't know. The dyno doesn't lie. It could be the difference between days and stuff like that, because it weren't 2 minutes ago that it were on. But what we have noticed, the inlet air temps have gone from 77 and 890 EGTs at the top end, which is as much as we want to push these really. The inlet air temps now are 29, and we've dropped 10 degrees off the inlet, off the EGTs, and we are a little bit leaner on the air to fuel ratio, so we're about bang on standard now, which is absolutely perfect. The DPF should be really happy with that. Obviously the EGTs are good, so the DPF will be good. We've not actually had to turn up any of the standard limiters, like the hard limiters on that, which is good as well. You could still probably hit them, I'm sure, on a long autobahn, 170 mile an hour pull, you will get to that point, but all the temperature sort of limiters that are there are going to prevent massive damage to your DPF, which that's always the biggest concern. If we leave a DPF in a car, the biggest concern is always making sure that that's not going to just start to get damaged and have to be deleted or whatever, or have to be removed or replaced, because that is the reason why somebody wants to tune and retain a DPF, is because they don't want to have any problems, and that's what we're trying to achieve. We see a lot of tunes where they just turn everything off. I had a 4.2 Audi, 4.2 Touareg in the other day, and that had everything turned off. As soon as you booted it in any gear, doing 1,000 EGTs, and it weren't pulling any back. So you could literally just keep going, and God knows how hot that we're going to get, especially if you had like a big caravan or trailer on the back. So not ideal. We like to leave all that stuff in place, which it takes absolutely ages to tune them to achieve that, but it is what it is. It's got to be right. So this is where we are now. The next stage, really, we've got little bits and pieces that we can be doing. We've come up with this silicon tip pipe, which that should go there and replace this thing, which I don't like this anyway, but that should replace that. And then we've got this little thing as well, which a lot of people ask about, the RS7 airboxes and stuff. So we've come up with this 3D printed idea, so we'll trim a little piece out of there like that, set that in there and just glue it in place, and that should, in theory, open up a little bit of restriction in airbox. But we have done a little bit of testing on this before we've done this video, and I don't think this airbox is severely restrictive, but I want to do the testing on the road with this really, because I don't think we're getting enough airflow into the front here, because obviously the air filter, it goes in here, which that's got a bit of blanking on that one, so might be able to put a bit more on that, but the air goes in there, and then it gets sort of a ram air effect in there, so opening that up might not make it better, but the MAF sensor won't lie. So if we open that up and we get more airflow in there, then it's worked. Obviously, if we do that and we get less, it's not worked. So we'll try little things like we'll open the grill up a little bit here if we can, and we'll do that as sort of back-to-back testing as well. But again, you've got to do these things quickly so that your ambient conditions don't change, because that does make a bigger difference than the ambient conditions are the biggest variable you've got. That's why manufacturers spend a lot of money on temperature and climate controlled sounds and stuff like that.
Do you have the keys for the truck?
You've interrupted a vlog, Tom. That's the worst thing you could have ever done. Sackable offence.
Oh, yes.
Don't worry about it. So yeah, the ambient conditions are the biggest variable. So I'm really happy with what this is doing. Can't wait to drive it again on the road and see what it's like. I think the next video, I'd have liked to have done it in this video, but I don't think we're going to have a chance. But the next video, hopefully, it'll be, we'll put it back to standard and run it, and then we'll put the tune file on that you've seen here and run it and see what it does, see what difference that makes to acceleration. And then I think we need to get into gearbox tuning and stuff like that, which not a lot of people are doing much on these ZF8 speeds, but we've spent a lot of time and played with quite a lot of gearboxes on these now, and we think we've sort of cracked a lot of things on these. Not easy to work with, but the Amaroks, they respond really well to them. And then after that, after we've done all that stuff, I don't think we're too far away from the hybrid turbos, but maybe we'll do a quick test with the DPF removal and stuff like that, and just see what difference it actually makes to the real world figures. Sometimes with a lot of cars, people are they jump straight to deleting emissions equipment, when as long as the tuning's really correct, you don't have any problems with them. So we'll see, we'll go from there. Cheers.